This is my character recap on RHONY for Brynn Whitfield, so strap in. This is going to be a long one. And I don't know what she's about to do in the season finale, but Brynn loses the line. She loses the line of morality because she has been wounded in her life in such a way that her mind becomes a warped place. And in this place, she feels entitled to the right to comfort when she makes uncomfortable situations. She's got a warped sense of loyalty, justice, and friendship. In these character recaps, it's really important to review these people in context. So last season, Sai was not her best self. She was not operating in her best self. And Brynn knew that, and she was really compassionate towards that. If you go back and you look, she really was. But up to a certain point, she has rejection sensitivity, Brynn. And once she reaches a certain level of rejection, she's offline. You can't meet her compassion anymore. Because Brynn exists in a much bigger context. You get the behaviors that Brynn reflects, you get that after deep wounding that most people can't touch base with in a single lifetime. Brynn has been through things that most people can't relate to, and you can tell by her wounds. So when she gets wounded in adulthood, she goes to that childlike place, and subconsciously a lot of things happen in Brynn's head. She creates an unrealistic expectation of what resolution would need to look like, what she would need to see to allow this person back in to this fortress, right? And it goes to a childlike place. I would need to see begging. I would need to see groveling. I would need to see desperation. Something that would restore the dynamic to where she envisions it should be in her head, and she goes to a childlike place. Well, I would need to see this in order to maintain my dignity of someone of my esteem. I need to feel valuable. So she needs you to place yourself beneath her. And it's also partly a control thing. If I'm in control, maybe I can feel safe. And it's not going to be popular to be like this understanding, I feel, because if you go back to last season, you are going to see a different girl. That season changed that girl. It's a shame because that girl has so much love in her heart. And she says, I'm so sensitive. And the thing is, I dated someone like this and I have a lot of compassion for it. But at the end of the day, you need to understand that being sensitive, none of these things are excuses for the way that you decide to act afterwards. But they feel like they have a pass for it because now they're acting defensively. Now they're acting in a way to protect themselves. And they feel like that gives them impunity for the way that they decide to move forward with things. While in their head, they're like, I know I'm moving differently. But in everyone else's head, we are still moving forward with like the tenets of friendship and loyalty. They're moving differently, and that's what makes it wrong. And they no longer see themselves as the guilty party when their actions are guilty because of the things that have come before it, right? Because they think that you have wronged them sometime before this point, and you are deserving of this like retroactive punishment. This idea of justice is really strong in their head. So if you go back, Brynn in the first season is harmless. She's really happy. She was bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. She did not have an intention for this group that was set with anything malicious. And then you saw her get to that reunion and have her heart broken. She had real friendships, particularly with Sai. And you watch Sai reject her. She is someone with rejection sensitivity. And like I said, I have dated someone like this, and it's very, very hard to do anything in the right way so that they don't sour towards you, because they have like this idea of they operate with the nirvana fallacy, where it's like if the solution isn't ideal, it's almost like you've done something worse. If the solution isn't perfect or completely aligned with what they thought it was going to be, they can't continue. It's an impossible way to operate, but it's also a way to keep your relationships shallow because there's no texture to that. If you get into your first fight and it can be solved super easily, then we can remain friends. But if it's a little bit more complicated than that, I'm gonna resent you forever. It's just not reasonable. And it's a way for them to keep distance when that's not even what they want. They don't even truly want that. Just a lot of phallical thinking in the way they operate, and it's they'll use words and it's are you understanding the words that you're using? They're a little disjointed. They're not associated so closely with reality when they get in this state where they're just defensive, right? So they go to a different place, they can't be reached. Once they get to that point, it's almost not worth trying to work through a solution with them because they're not organically trying to work through a solution for the team. They'll say they are though. They'll throw out a bunch of those phrases, but they're not there anymore. They're in such a deep wounded place. It's really complicated. Sai's apology was not good enough at the reunion for her. It didn't seem authentic. She had months to apologize and she only did it at the reunion, and that, like, it made it so that she couldn't trust her. And then she sends that a big apology via text, and she was like, you could have given a phone call, you could have done this, blah, 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 blah. Like, it's the nirvana fallacy. Like, if it's not the perfect solution, the solution brought to her by Sai is not good enough. And then it's like these characters of people, they're very vituperative. They're very vituperative, which is to say they become very bitter and abusive. They don't touch base with that bitterness and abusiveness. So they'll be like, oh, I don't care about this. Yet if you were to bring that person up, backhanded insults, because they can't help themselves, because they're very bitter and abusive. But they can't touch base with that because they can't admit it, because they need to have distance from it to avoid, like, they would rather avoid and actually admit, I care so deeply about this. They're very destructive. They ruin a lot of their own relationships, and then they up the ante. It's like the tension gets so high until they pop, and then they'll do something very wrong, but they'll do it under the guise of you deserved it because of whatever. They will always find a reason to justify why they do things, and it's very sad. It's very sad because deep down, she wants to connect with these women. And you could see it in season 1 reunion. They asked her where her friendship with Sai landed. And Sai said something deeply hurtful, which is like, we're taking a break. You watched Brynn self-soothe and say, it's fine, I've got 1,000 friends. When in fact, she wanted resolution. Brynn is at her best when she's admitting her emotions. Brynn is at her best when she's admitting she's hurt. Brynn is at her best when she's being tended to. But the reality is you can't always be tended to. Like, Sai could not tend to you because she was going through some deep, deep shit after her mom died. And that's the reality of being an adult, but Brynn operates in a childlike space because she was wounded in childhood deeply. So that can't be the expectation in adulthood, particularly. And Sai is not able to accommodate a friendship of that magnitude that needs that degree of emotional labor. So Brynn thinks she's done the work, but she hasn't even started because she has these expectations that are subconscious and not even expressed. And instead, she goes back to things that have worked in her past or things that she has seen work for other people, which is the scheming and plotting. And it's self-sabotaging. It is. And it's going to take a long time for Brynn to even admit she's operating from this place. It becomes bitter and abusive. Like, there is like a deep resentment, deep contempt that they can't wash away. And it's like, okay, what would need to be done to wash this away for you? And the goalpost keeps moving because it's actually like a way for them to like have control in a situation that they can, like, a little bite of control like actually isn't enough. And whatever it is, whatever the goalpost is, they'll get like a little chomp of it and be like, that's not enough. It's not enough. It's not enough to make up for like the hurt that I have experienced, whatever it was. So the fact that like she found out that people were talking behind her back was deeply hurtful for Brynn, and it's a wound that she will never forget. So then she gets into game playing. She goes into season 2 and say, these girls aren't really your friend, and if they're not really my friends, I can do what I want with this situation. You wronged me, we're both wrong now, baby, let's go. It was such a destructive place to operate for her because now no one can trust you. And like when I say that I've been in a situation like this, it's like, okay, but I am in a relationship with you and you're proceeding with this like understanding between you and yourself that the dynamic has changed, but you haven't communicated to anyone else that the dynamic has changed. So like, I can't trust you now. And that's unfair for me to be engaging in a relationship with you when you know something that I don't, because I would not continue to be in a relationship with you had I known that the dynamic had changed for you in this way. Like, and they don't communicate that. And then they'll escalate it to the most disgusting place, and you will see some really dark, nasty human psychology at play there. They are trying to dominate you, trying to control you, trying to make you feel less than, trying to make you feel small. The objective is to feel bigger, better, stronger than you. And all it does is harm your friendships. I remember feeling like, if that's how you're gonna act, stand on it. I hate you. Like, I hate you now. And that's not ever where that person wanted to be. Like, they didn't want me to see them in that light. But I have never been treated like that by anyone in my entire life. I was gagged. I was like, there's no way that I didn't even think this person was capable of that. And then after they did it, it was like, oh no, like you gotta forgive that, because it's like honestly just the same as when you did X, and like X was me being like, you made me really uncomfortable tonight. You know what I mean? It was not the same. My advice for Brynn is to get EMDR therapy. I'm not even joking. The trauma that is in her is somatic. It is so deep that it penetrates like through the skin. It's not like something that she can get to up here yet. She needs to go on an apology tour, and she needs to do the work, start from scratch, and actually realize that what she does is wrong, because she doesn't think anything she's doing is wrong. Not really. She feels equally wronged. But those things aren't equal, baby. They're not equal. I know. Heart breaks watching her do this to herself.